You thought I was gone, didn't you?
Hillary Clinton, one of the most controversial and talked about female political figures of our time. For over 2 decades, people have been confused by her personality and trying to figure her out. And after careful research, we think we've found a way. When looking at Hillary's life, one of the things we found most interesting was her ability to overcome controversy and demonstrate strength at all times. Our question became, why has Hillary shown such resilience through countless obstacles? We will use a combination of interviews with Hillary as well as an in-depth look into crucial moments in her life. Our research revealed that the driving force behind this resilience is her personality type, which is an INTJ according to the Myers-Briggs Indicator Assessment. The MBTI is a psychometric questionnaire designed to measure psychological preferences and how people perceive the world and make decisions. INTJs are one of the rarest of the 16 personality types and account for only 1 to 4% of the population and are even more rare in women. The INTJ, also known as the scientist, value intelligence, are ambitious, self-confident, and are natural leaders, although they usually choose to remain in the background until they see a real need to take over the lead. They dislike inefficiency, and others sometimes have a hard time understanding them. They have insight into the big picture and are driven to synthesize their concepts into a solid plan of action.
So many different images of you are circulated, often not flattering ones. If you could show people the real Hillary, what would you tell them about yourself? What are the values you hold to?
Well, the truth is, sometimes it is difficult for even me to recognize the Hillary Clinton that other people see. At the end of the day, I'm someone who hopes for the best and prepares for the worst. I have a lot of stamina and a lot of resilience. I value honesty, intelligence, and knowledge. And I have high standards for myself, and I always have, and the same for my staff.
In 1993, just 5 days after the inauguration, Hillary was appointed head of a task force in charge of creating a bipartisan health care reform bill. Although the transition from Arkansas to Washington was difficult, Hillary hit the ground running, breaking precedent by becoming the first First Lady to play an active role in matters of public policy. This departure from the traditional First Lady duties is not surprising in light of her personality type. INTJs do not like to be constrained, and they dislike routine and authority. They also need freedom to create and want to act independently. A common problem for INTJs is that their thoughts and concepts are highly individualized and are not readily translatable into a form that others will understand. Whether it can be attributed to her vision being too grand or her political inexperience, the healthcare bill failed in September 1994. But Hillary continued to be a leading advocate for the need to expand healthcare insurance coverage.
Do you think you're overly criticized for your career?
You know, for years and years, I've gotten a lot of criticism for being bossy and aggressive. The truth is, I usually choose to remain in the background until there's an actual need to take over the lead. And when I do come out of the background, I'm able to stay objective and stay realistic within a situation. If something isn't working well, like I told you, I'll change it.
INTJ personalities need intense privacy, yet simultaneously seek out challenges. At times, it seems as if these two come at the expense of one another. For Hillary, this combination manifested itself in her 2000 Senate run. The Clinton presidency was obviously not an easy one for Hillary. She was constantly in the spotlight and was publicly humiliated by her husband's affairs. But when the nation most expected her to retreat and reclaim her privacy after the presidency, she did the opposite. In the midst of the Lewinsky scandal, the First Lady had quietly begun to map out her own future, selecting New York as the best prospect for her Senate run. As the first First Lady to be a candidate for an elected office, Hillary proved determined to pave her own way. Her ambitious and relentless nature was not curbed by her high need for privacy. Ultimately, her decision to run for Senate demonstrated the resilience and need to always be on a mission that can only be explained by the INTJ personality. The campaign for the Senate seat proved Hillary to be a deliberate, self-confident, and long-range thinker, which is an exact description of the INTJ type.
Now, what would your staff tell us?
Oh, probably that I'm not all about feelings and emotions. It really isn't easy to express myself. Most of the time, I come across as having little interest in other people's thoughts or feelings. I have to be so careful about this. But you know, Connor, just because I don't express how I feel about others doesn't mean that I don't feel it. I'm very quick to judge. I'm usually right about things, and I'm never one to say that I'm sorry.
INTJs are natural-born leaders, but prefer to stay in the background until they feel that there is a real need for leadership. This was the case in the 2008 election. Hillary saw that the country needed new leadership and was willing to step up and be that leader. In 2007, Hillary announced her intention to run for President of the United States. However, after a long and difficult battle for the Democratic nomination, it became clear that Barack Obama was ultimately going to be the nominee. After Obama was elected president, he asked Hillary to serve as his Secretary of State. While Clinton was hesitant to take the job at first, she was eventually convinced and became the first former First Lady to serve in the United States cabinet.
Bitter rivals, yet
I endorse him and throw my full support behind him.
just as Hillary Clinton showed her support for President Obama, Obama showed his faith in Clinton.
I have no doubt that Hillary Clinton is the right person to lead our State Department and to work with me in tackling this ambitious foreign policy agenda.
During her time as Secretary of State, Hillary lived up to the high standards of an INTJ in the workplace. She is an excellent leader by nature, and this position allowed her to show her true personality.
As Secretary of State, how does your personality relate to your job?
Well, my worst quality is probably that I get very passionate about what I think is right. I'm very dedicated to my job, constantly gathering as much information as I can. And I spend most of my energy coming up with new ideas based on these observations. I'm more comfortable, though, applying a concept in a useful way than just thinking about it. I want facts, conclusions, and actions. If I don't have organization, I can't make it. And I like closure.
Regardless of what people say, you've had significant breakthroughs, from lawyer in Arkansas to First Lady to Senator to presidential candidate and now Secretary of State. How did you pull it all off?
You know, Connor, I've stayed true to who I am. All along, regardless of any attention I've received, there's been a certain consistency to who I am and what I do. And I think people have finally started to catch on to that and see the real personality. People have finally started to say, you know, I kind of get her now. I've actually had people say that to me. So no matter how hard the media tries to spin it, I'm not really that hard to figure out.
Well, I think everybody here knows I've lived through some crises and some challenging moments in my life.
Hillary is a very rare woman who has lived a very rare life. Her 2 decades in the public eye have clearly produced many ups and downs, and she has struggled with being misunderstood. However, when Hillary is examined as an INTJ, each of her actions become more easily understood. Through it all, she has shown unfaltering resilience, even to this day. Hillary 2016, we think so.